Super Bowl. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to be the most insufferable douche on this podcast today. But the Bills are going to the friggin' Super Bowl. Why? Because I believe it, and they're that good, and at their best, they beat anybody.
If you're thirsty and looking to drink some Kool-Aid, last night's game would have been the perfect recipe for you.
I'm thirsty for that Super Bowl. For that Super Bowl, I am a thought.
That marks the first and, God willing, last use of the word thought on this podcast. We are.
You said this is the last thought of this podcast?
Yeah, well, that's the first one, too, honestly, so that makes sense. Welcome back, everyone. 716 Sports Podcast. After a week sabbatical, everyone here happy, healthy, and maybe even happier than we expected following the Monday night game. I was thinking about it yesterday because I saw obviously the statistic they were showing the Bills hadn't won on Monday night since 1999. I was 8 and definitely didn't grasp the Doug Flutie win the same way that I grasped whatever Josh Allen did, because Josh Allen did whatever Josh Allen wanted for 4 straight quarters to San Francisco. And I know this isn't quite the Super Bowl team of last year for the Niners. They've had some injury issues. They're obviously notably without their 2 best offensive, 2 or 3 best players
17
on offense.
players on injured reserve right now. Sorry.
Secondary's a little carved, missing Nick Bosa, missing some other pieces, but I'm not convinced that anyone on that field from San Francisco last night would have mattered too much. The way that Brian Dable and Josh Allen were scheming to just dissect San Francisco. And I know we've said it a couple times this year. I'm not sure I've seen Josh Allen play a better game than he played against San Francisco. He was rolling out of the pocket to get away from pressure, got what was like 2 knockdowns all game, no sacks, running away from pressure, on the run, throwing absolute dimes.
Without planting his feet.
And
he was not planting his feet, just dropping dimes.
Yeah, just rolling, Brett Favre-esque, rolling to his right, just slinging the ball. Cole Beasley was open on every single play.
The touchdown to McKenzie, he kind of like just Kobe fades.
It was the easy. He made it look so easy. Like I couldn't believe how far the ball went. He just like casually it
was a jump throw.
Yeah, it was a casual little across his body. The Niners secondary had some issues, and I think credit for sure to Josh. And I want to give right off the bat, I want to give a lot of credit to Brian Dable, because if that's your coaching audition, there's going to be some phone calls coming in to One Bills Drive at the end of the season, because he had them going in 7 different directions. The use of motion with McKenzie, they used the push pass, they used the Travis Kelce-esque inside shovel pass to Knox, even though it didn't quite work, it very nearly worked for a touchdown. The play to Gabe Davis, where they had run that same kind of route so many times that everyone anticipated something else, and he ends up by himself in a 10-yard bubble. Bills beat the 39ers 34-24, and I don't think it felt that close.
That's one of the thoughts I had driving over, is that the game wasn't that close. And if you guys heard any of the post-game, obviously there was the Richard Sherman quote that said Josh Allen played freaking fantastic football. And Kyle Shanahan was very quick to give credit specifically to Allen after the game. He said, we knew that we were going to have to play mistake-free football to stay in that game, but the way their guy played, that might not have been enough, is what he alluded to. It was kind of one of those things. I went to a game in Columbus, the Sabres game in Columbus. They won 5-0. This was years ago when they really weren't a great team. And Robin Leonard played unbelievable. And John Tortorella just was like, we weren't going to beat him today. Like, you just knew. He's like, you knew after the first period you weren't going to beat them today. And it doesn't matter if they scored 1 goal or 5 goals. We weren't going to win. It doesn't matter what San Francisco could have done differently. There were people complaining about how Deebo Samuel didn't get the ball enough and Mostert didn't get the ball enough. It's not what cost you the game. You lost the game because the Bills quarterback surgically ripped you apart all over the field, and it felt really good to have. This isn't Sean McDermott pumping his tires. This is the coach that just lost to him, saying we might not have been able to do anything to stop that kid.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan goes week in and week out facing Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, faced Patrick Mahomes at the Super Bowl.
And they frustrated those guys. Even this year, they frustrated the Rams earlier on. So, I mean, like, it's not like this defense is made of entirely spare parts. No, Fred Warner is one of the better linebackers in this league. And what does Josh Allen do? Throws a piss missile over his hands.
Hand cannon.
It's a good thing Warner missed the stretching on the rack before the game. If he was like half an inch taller.
I don't even
Instead, Jeff put it in the perfect spot.
finger.
It's a broken finger at minimum.
If anything, that ball glances off his fingers, because that ball is thrown so hard.
I mean, that might have JPP'd a finger off of him. So
Well, I think a Josh Allen pass at that speed is legally classified as an explosive device, so that does check out.
Here we go.
And you want to talk about could you give Mostert a couple more carries? They seem to like Jeff Wilson a little bit yesterday. It's hard to do a running back by committee thing. It's what we've seen with the Bills. It's hard to do a true running back by committee when you're playing from behind or just passing the ball so well. When you only run the ball 20 times, there's no committee. It's not giving 15 to Mostert and 7 for Wilson, 9 for Mostert, 2 for Coleman. And Steve and I were talking off mic before the show. The great play that Johnston made on Coleman where Brandon Ayuk tried to chip Johnston, and that was not happening. Johnston was all over the field yesterday. He was one of the more noticeable names for me outside of the usual cast of characters. Him and Vernon Butler both on the defensive line. It felt like we had more flashy D-line plays yesterday than we had for a while, at least in the run game. It didn't quite feel like... It felt like if San Francisco was going to win, they were going to have to run all over the Bills, and they never did quite get that going.
They couldn't really get it going, and the funny thing, though, about it, like you mentioned Daryl Johnson and how well he played last night. This is just a microcosm of the continuous success this team has on hitting on late draft picks. You've got a rotational defensive end in the 7th round. Your last pick of that draft is a guy who rotates in on that defensive line for you, and he is a contributor. You get contributors at minimum from Brandon Beane on these late round draft picks. And so when the trade deadline came and passed and nothing was done, I was perfectly fine with it. Why? Because this GM knows how to hit on these later round picks. And sometimes it's spectacular. See Matt Milano. Sometimes it's at minimum Daryl Johnson, Saran Neal.
Guys whose names you're familiar with.
Or
because
undrafted players like Levi Wallace, too. Right?
Yeah, he got beat up
Dane
a little bit
Jackson.
online. Dane Jackson. Teron Johnson was like a 4th or 5th round
Taron
pick.
Johnson was a 4th round pick. So they get very good contributors no matter where they are in the draft class. It seems strangely enough the 2nd round is like for some reason the biggest question mark for Brandon Beane, seeing Zay Jones and
I think of the 2nd round, they and a lot of teams fall into the same trap where they try to take a guy who fell out of the 1st round for a reason and think they can fix him.
Yeah.
And then it seems like in the 3rd and 4th round they get back to, well, this is the right guy for this value here. A lot of teams in the 2nd round, I think, I would actually, I don't have the data to back this up. I'd be curious to see if it's true that maybe the 2nd round is the most underperforming of all of the rounds of the draft. Because the 1st round, you get the guys who everyone wants. Mm-hmm. 2nd round is like, well, here's Geno Smith and some other guys left over who no one took in the 1st round. And then the 3rd round, it corrects itself back to here's the guys on the board in the 3rd round. But
yeah.
Zay Jones is kind of a funny pick because he's everything about him. All signs point to yes. All of the receptions he had,
There's 0 drops in college.
zero
right?
drops. He has this. He has the ability,
what
the
happened
quickness. He come to the NFL. Who knows what happens? I don't know.
yeah, I have a hard time knocking the pick for those reasons that you just mentioned, Justin. I think they did the right thing on paper, and it just, for whatever reason, whether it was a mental thing, I know he had some mental health issues, and maybe that played a big role. He seems to have rebounded a little bit with Las Vegas this year, but
let's get back to the matter at hand, which is dude missed 8 passes the entire game.
A few
I
were
think
throwaways.
4 of which were throwaways.
Threw 40 times. After the first we'll call it 1.5 drives of the entire game, because of course you got the Bills getting stopped at the goal line. Why that play call to Lee Smith, I don't know, but he could have hit him. He didn't.
He was actually going for a tackle eligible play on that, but that was covered.
Yeah.
But,
And the thing is like that was one of the few misses that they had. So to start that game, everybody is miserable.
there were so many
Allen...
people on my Twitter feed that were tweeting about turning the game off after the. I don't know if it was after that or after the Moss fumble.
It was the Moss fumble.
It was
like, guy,
on.
stressed is okay. But stressed and keeping the TV on.
Turn the TV off after
guys,
the first quarter.
If you're telling me you can't watch a game that your 8-3 football team is playing before they allow a point, I think the problem is you and not the Bills.
How about you guys in a Slack chat? Defense.
This
defense is an issue.
So
balled out last night.
I
got
say,
real quiet after that.
hang on. So the first drive they get stopped, but then they stop them on the 1 yard line. I'm like, okay, this is going to be the game of the cursed 1 yard line. And then Moss fumbles. I'm like, I did not mean to tweet that like that. And but like everyone's just miserable right away. And I'm like, it's just 7 points. It's like if they had the ball and scored first, big deal. Let's see what happens. And then Josh Allen goes, oh, yeah, watch this, America.
It did feel like
watch all of this.
It did feel like more than a 7-point swing, though, because you feel like the Bills left 7 points on the board. And then you felt like they were going to give up 7 points.
Swing.
And then, they stopped them. And then you gave them 7 anyway. It almost feels like a 21-point swing because I know that's not what the scoreboard says, but you left 7 on the table. Then it felt like you were going to give up 7, and holy shit, you didn't. And then you did anyway. So it was like a slap in the cheek, a slap in the other cheek, and then a flick in the nads.
Being mad? Oh, yeah. Flicking the nads, absolutely. But like to turn the TV off?
No,
like,
I was never at that point.
Come on.
I did tweet, we're not even 15 minutes into the game, and I'm exhausted. Because emotionally,
was true.
Yeah,
emotionally it was
That was such a bizarre first 10 minutes.
No.
That's Bills football for you, baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
catch the fever.
Isn't it sad? Like the last part of the game, the Bills are up 17 points. I'm like, it's not over yet. This is Bills football. If I was afraid something dumb was going to happen, they're going to lose this game.
Until they recovered
Something
the onside
really
kick, it was
dumb.
not over.
Until the strangest thing happened last night. The Bills played more than a competent third quarter.
They played a very good game.
They played a
for 4
good
quarters.
third quarter.
Yes.
It was very weird. They got their bad football out of the way on the first
The first
fucking
2
drive.
drives.
And that was it. Like, that was it.
And honestly, the first drive itself doesn't even feel like it should have been that bad.
No,
Like,
it was
entire
No, it's
bad
just the
ending.
result
The
was not
entire first quarter
satisfying.
was dictated by that shitty
Yeah.
PI Colin Levi Wallace.
Yes.
Not PI. He played
That
it
was
perfectly.
not. And
just-
it was so weird. That was a really weird one. But then, like, come on, just respond, damn it.
Well, yes. I'm like, and the entire 60 yards that happens afterwards,
Right.
you can't be like, okay, they gave us a bad penalty. You have to get your head out of
They
your
should
ass
have been
and
punting
keep playing
from-
defense.
should have been punting from their own end zone. Instead, they marched 99
Like that
yards.
first drive, you talk about us blowing up in the slack. I see that
whose fault
PI,
is
and
that?
all of a sudden, Mostert's running down the field. Like, okay, no, this is the Bills I worried might show up for this
Crumbling.
game. And then they didn't respond on that drive, but they sure responded after that. The second Josh got back on the field, the second time after the Moss fumble, the next time he gets back on the field, calm as can be, just surgically taking apart the defense. Bajorquez didn't punt until he launched an 80-yarder off his foot with
God.
6 minutes left.
What a boot.
It was less than 6 minutes left.
He was there charging himself up all night, just waiting to let one rip, just getting his power level over 9,000 and kicks at 80 yards.
Remember when the best player on the Bills was the friggin' punter?
for a very long time.
It was not just 1 year either, which was the
I
best
know, like,
part.
remember,
It was
remember
like
those years? That
half
was
a decade.
Yeah.
remember that time that the best player on the Bills was Brian Mormon?
There were times I
do.
put Brian Mormon a quarterback at Madden. It was like, fuck, guys,
I bet that if you ask a Patriots fan who their punter was sometimes, they probably wouldn't remember because it didn't matter. But all of the Bills fans would be like, oh yeah, Brian Mormon, and they're very familiar with the ins and outs.
I
of
love
career.
Brian Mormon. He was
can't-
so fast.
I can't name you one Patriots kicker or punter except for Bajorquez.
Brad Wing.
Zoltan Meshko,
Okay.
just because his name is Zoltan.
Okay, guys. But it's funny. I see you're saying the defense balled out in the game. They allowed 402 yards. But you figure the first drive was the most yards probably.
73.
It was a
73 yards.
scripted drive, and you take every team's got a great first scripted drive, and you take that with a grain of salt. And then the last drive was 75 yards. That's all garbage yards.
Yeah.
The Bills are just playing off, not trying to give a big play. So like you take away 150 yards, and it's like they played a great game.
That's 250 yards for
I'm not
all by
taking-
2 drives.
I don't want to take them away, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, okay, the first drive you can come back from if you have your head in the right place. And the last drive is just basically you don't want to give up a big play, a quick score, and you're fine if they end up taking 4 or 5 minutes to score.
Right. If they score as long as you took time, you did your job.
It's weird how they took so long in the game to get the ball to Debo Samuel.
I think he was covered. He's also not 100%. So there was talks about him not being 100% healthy enough to play, but he still has the lingering hamstring, lower body injury.
He was also getting the Trey White
Yeah,
treatment.
that's what I mean. He just wasn't
And
open.
I do not think that Debo is quite used to playing the caliber of defensive back that Trey White is. True. As a second-year receiver who's really, I don't think, he's not a true number one, in my opinion. He's a number two, like a slot kind of gadget guy. He's very, very good in space. You can run with him.
He's going to be a very great number 2 wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
He's a better Tavon Austin.
Well, I mean, yeah,
better.
he can run routes, so he's miles ahead of Tavon
Yeah.
Austin.
But I'm just talking about the way you utilize him almost. Like they give him the ball in the backfield almost more than they throw it to him. it
The
feels like.
problem with the Niners offense right now is their 2 best receivers are both that kind of guy. Ayuk is not exactly he's not a Julio Jones type of receiver.
Well, that's why
He's
they
a
lean on
strong-
George.
he's a
That's why they
strong
lean on
player.
Kittle. They just can't do that.
They're
now.
both very good. The problem is their number one receiver is George
Yeah,
Kittle.
that's the guy that goes down the field for you. But
Yeah. But the other thing about this, I mean, look, we missed a show. I mean, we missed a week. And, that was probably the more impressive defensive performance when they took a high-flying Chargers offense and said, no, you don't. And then another Hail Mary happened. But we don't have to worry about that because Anthony Lynn's an idiot. But now you're seeing this defense coming into form, so to say. At the end of the day, that's kind of scary because you see Josh Allen firing piss missiles out there, 80% completion percentage and 4 touchdowns at 375 because why not?
How many picks?
Oh, there was what picks?
Yeah. How many?
None.
That's right.
What? That didn't happen.
But he's not accurate.
But he's not accurate.
How did he do throwing passes over 20 yards? Does anybody know?
Now, here's the knock on Allen that was the strangest, like the accuracy thing.
How many? How
Let's-
did he do on passes over 20 yards last night?
Oh, he was aces.
6 for 6.
Aces.
6 for 6 on passes that went 20
Aces.
yards downfield.
Now,
Sorry.
the thing is that Josh Allen never had truly an accuracy problem. He had smooth brain moments. It wasn't even mechanics necessarily. He just thinks, "Hey, I'm going to try this. Screw it. Don't stick the fork in the electric socket. Nope, doing it anyway. Is it going to get me 80 yards? I'm going to try it." And so Josh Allen was that 3-year-old nightmare that you had to watch and make sure that he didn't get you killed. So that's what he was last year to the Bills. Just make sure he doesn't get you killed. And sometimes he'd do it anyway.
He still does it sometimes.
He still does it sometimes.
During the
but-
Chargers game, I put on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, Josh Allen's good, but he's a fucking idiot.
and that's
Well,
what it is.
It was that play where he almost got himself really hurt.
Yes.
Because he's, instead of going down with Bosa, he tries
like,
to throw against his body back into it.
For me, it
That's
was
the thing this
yeah.
year with him.
for me it was the fumble when he refused to just fall on it and
Right.
wanted to pick it up and scamper.
Yeah.
And then they come back the next drive, throws it off his back foot with 2 players hitting him
Yep.
in the
As soon as he threw it, you're like,
just
that's picks.
Take the hit, just
Yeah.
like or just fall on the ball. Like it's that.
Yeah.
That's his worst ability. Or
Yeah. And that is what his quote-unquote accuracy problem has always been. It's never been about the actual accuracy of the football coming out of his arm, even though he does have those throws sometimes.
I do think his mechanics are better this
His
year.
mechanics
His
are better.
delivery's great.
Yeah, those throws are also getting fewer and farther between.
However, it's just less of those moments are happening with him. And that is where this top 5 passing yards quarterback is coming from. It's not because of the accuracy. It never was. It was always about how many small, smooth brain moments is my quarterback going to have.
Even the type of throw. So if I'm going to agree with you on the accuracy, it might not even be an accuracy issue. It's not realizing that he needed to put touch on the ball. It wasn't that he couldn't put the touch on it. He didn't think he could.
He didn't
or
think
had
he
to.
need to.
He think he needed to zip it in there when he didn't. And on a couple throws, a little swing pass to Singletary yesterday that got them 6 yards when he was under duress. The touchdown pass to Knox. Neither one of those balls were rockets. The throw to Lee Smith was a rocket. He missed. He fired it. He absolutely slung it 2 feet over Lee Smith's head and to the left. On the Knox throw, on the Singletary throw, he floated him. He got it into space, let them settle under it and make a play. And that's
He gave Lee Smith the old JFK back and to the left.
boy.
Jeepers.
I've been waiting like 10 days here, boys. Let's go.
The biggest sign of his improvement in mechanics. God damn, think about that all night long, Jeff. The biggest sign of
I'll say the JFK thing was more accurate, though.
Wow.
On target. Let's go with that.
A little bit more on target,
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
and we're losing listeners or gaining them. Who knows? Anyway,
Some passerby has been like, I've been looking for a sports podcast that makes JFK assassination jokes, and I just happen to hear you listening to one. Please send me the link.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Anyways, the
Sure.
passing mechanics, Justin.
the biggest evidence of his pass mechanics improving is that piss missile he threw over Warner, because he ripped that thing, and you could see at the end of the throw where he got that extra little hip in there to put the extra oomph, and the fact that he zipped that ball so hard with the arc that it had, it just shows you got the proper flick of the wrist, the proper follow through, and it's just and it's just all mechanics that throw. It's just the way that you throw a ball that hard.
You're
it doesn't
forgetting the most important part. He hits his receiver in stride.
in stride.
He puts it
Over.
where the ball has to be with that arc, that disgusting arc that we're talking about. But the sickest part about it is he hits his man in motion.
Yeah.
Not behind him, not hitting him in the chest awkwardly. he's running and that ball's there.
And they got the best angle of that throw
Oh, yeah.
from head on. And you can, if you watch it, they got slow motion everywhere. You can see all the mechanics.
Yeah, say what
right
you will
there.
about ESPN broadcasts. There are things that to like and to dislike. Their camera work is unparalleled. The shots of him making that pass are just.
You can see his eyes. You can literally watch his eyes.
They
Feel the
have the
wind.
technology.
Regardless of what you said about his accuracy issue, it wasn't ever an issue. It's definitely improved though in some capacity because time before I was thinking earlier in the day like that throw to Beasley on the sideline and then the throw to Diggs on the sideline that everyone thought was incomplete. Like, have you seen him miss one of those toe tapping sideline throws this season? I mean, applaud the receivers for being able to catch them. They always catch them. But the throw is always in the perfect spot, and he's always running.
You know what?
Have you seen him? Can you recall one that he's missed all year?
No, but like that Allen to Diggs connection on a sideline is like probably maybe you're the fourth most memorable of that type of pass. Because the first one I think of as you're describing those things, the touchdown against Kansas City, that disgusting throw.
Yep.
And then the throw against Arizona.
Yeah.
That one's incredible. It's not the toe tap, but it's pretty damn close to the sideline there. And like
Effective use of all the space on the football field.
that's a big thing. And
even a little bit off of the sideline.
Yep.
and that's where the velocity mattered when you drafted him. Josh Allen was always drafted as that ceiling quarterback. And the problem was that he also had a potentially very dangerous low floor. The Bills found a way to eliminate that danger. And now it's all about he's a
Where
ceiling.
is the ceiling? 'Cause
He's a ceiling quarterback only.
Yep.
They did the right thing we talked about it on the last podcast we'd had. You know, they made sure the environment was perfect so that the floor would not collapse under them. But now he's becoming the ceiling quarterback. And look out. That's where PFF, that's where all the B-holes like Nick Wright and everything like that and Jeff Schwartz, like
seeing.
Well, he doesn't even count.
That guy doesn't
That guy's
count.
barely a journalist.
that guy torpedoed harder than I don't know what.
Oh,
Never heard of that guy before today.
Derek's trying to find a way to bring this back to Kennedy, but
Yeah.
can't find a way because there's no
Yeah.
torpedoes involved.
And then I was trying to think of a torpedo joke, and I'm like, I don't got one. So, you know what? Again, Kean Fahey is about as irrelevant as
So what's
thing.
sticking with me today, and I need like literally 60 to 90 seconds here, is how many times yesterday the Bills made a play that was a backbreaker. And I know I put the one in the Slack chat, but I don't even know if necessarily the play I was talking about is what you guys saw by the time you saw it, because there were so many. The first play that comes to mind is the Bills line up on 4th and 2 from the plus 35, and they call timeout. You know, Allen tried to get him to jump off, and I'm like, are they going to send Bass out there for a 53-yarder? I said to my wife, I think he'll make it. It's on the left hash. He's got the leg, and he's in a dome. I'm not worried about this. I'm glad they're going to get points. Then they march the offense back out there and throw a pass that gains like 10 yards. And if you want to talk about demoralizing a team in a defense, do that to them. I'm not even saying convert on 4th and 2. You throw it from the shotgun in a situation where they probably think you're going to throw it anyway to a wide open Diggs who gets more than the 2 yards you needed. But there were so many other inside that looked like a touchdown, and then you get the pylon cam and you see that it's not. That is a humongous play, because then Nick Mullins decides to take a false start penalty, and then up the next play, Trey White is intercepting the ball. That is 3 straight haymakers from the Bills defense to a team that is desperately trying to claw back into a game. You stop him at the 1-inch line. He takes a false start penalty, which I guess it's not a haymaker from the Bills. That's him punching himself in the face. But then the pick from Trey, like those types of plays. And then even that, they're in the shadow of their own end zone and they get out of it. And they did end up, I think, punting that drive. And it's the only punt they had all night. But they continuously made plays on offense and defense that absolutely demoralized the 49ers. You could see it in Nick Mullins' face. Like, he was done, and that poor guy.
He was frustrated.
But you could see in his face, like, he looked like his dog died, because they absolutely deflated him. And I know that that's an undrafted quarterback, I know, but the Bills made so many plays yesterday to absolutely take any wind out of the sails of the 49ers, and I love it.
You want to, first off, what you described there on the goal line for that is, it's Bill's haymaker, and then the 49ers punched themselves in the balls, and then when they were recovering from that, like, bent over, like, oh, then they were like, oh, okay, wham, and they did it again. But that Stephon Diggs 4th and 2, you're not even talking about the most disgusting part of that play, which was the abuse he put on the corner on that 4th and 2.
Oh, God.
No, he didn't even put him on
Jason
skates.
Verrett.
He put him in cement. He locked him into place, and it's just like, and again, I do this every week because he's that great of a player. The Bills have Stephon fucking Diggs. Let's go. And every week you get a beautiful reminder of that. And I will never, ever hate. Like, how many picks did they give up for him? The answer?
Who cares?
You could have given up more.
3, yeah. First, fifth, and sixth or something.
And there was like a swap in there or something. I think.
Yeah, cool. That's neat. Look at that. That's neat.
But the Vikings got Justin Jefferson, and they're really excited about it.
I mean, yeah, everyone wins.
Hey,
Let's be real.
You trade
my
Stephon
tongue
Diggs
was in
for a
my
pick
cheek,
that
though.
becomes a guy that you hope plays as good and long as Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, but everyone won in that trade.
Yeah.
Except like the Vikings' overall record.
The Bills
But even
won more, yeah.
they're trying to push for a threat in the NFC for the playoffs again. So everybody won in that trade. But most importantly, the Bills and Josh Allen won that trade. Why? Because they have Stephon Diggs.
Josh Allen is the biggest winner of that because Diggs' route running and ability to get open. What he did to Verrett on that play is just disgusting.
And that's Jason Verrett. He's talented.
The biggest winner of that trade is Cole Beasley.
Yeah, I was gonna
He's
say.
had weird numbers.
Yeah.
There's a
week in
lot
and
of time.
week
I
out.
was a
He's
little
breaking
worried
his
going
own-
into last night about how the John Brown absence might affect everyone, and apparently the answer was just, well, let's just get Cole more involved because he had his career high for receptions and yardage before halftime.
And then he never saw the ball again.
Well,
But he didn't need to.
I think, and this is something that I thought, I wonder if they did this intentionally. The first half was very much focused on getting Cole the ball because it was working. And it felt like after halftime, they, again, I know you can't game plan for what you don't know the other team's going to do, but it felt like they made that change mentally to like, okay, now we're going to run the same kind of plays and focus on Diggs.
And now that comes back to that third quarter. They anticipated. And I think that's part of what has been going wrong for the third quarters is, yeah, go with what's working, of course, but they anticipated this time. And that wasn't something that we've seen very often from this coaching staff throughout the season. I've said more times than not, it's all about the execution from the players. But that's one of those moments where they were playing a step ahead in the chess game. And it's beautiful to watch because that Davis touchdown, the coverage collapses onto Beasley. It collapses onto him. And that's why Allen's able to, even with a slight underthrow, see Davis wide open enough that he's just able to dance his way into the end zone. And nothing ever makes me happier than seeing any video of Gabriel Davis dancing. He's dancing at practice. He's dancing pregame. That dude just dances.
That dude just loves football.
Love your life the way that Gabriel Davis loves his because he is just always dancing.
It was perfect. It was a perfect bookend to how Josh Allen's passing day had gone because he hits the wide open touchdown to McKenzie on the left side of the field,
That play call was
and then hits the wide open touchdown to Gabe Davis on the right side of the field, and they used the entire field. They had San Francisco going every direction. I think about they're mentioning the broadcast last night about the Niners quarterback situation, about Garoppolo's contract situation, and whether or not he'll be back this year or what that means for the future. All that Jimmy G has to do is take those 3 plays you guys mentioned on video, walk into John Lynch's office, and show the throw behind the one receiver. Mullins somehow I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback take a false start in the QB sneak. That was pretty impressive. And
Yeah,
then
he was
throwing
just headed
in
forward
front
without
of
the ball.
the other receiver for the pick. I mean, he made 3 distinct but different mistakes in a row from the 5-yard line. And that basically, I mean, I think the Bills comfortably win the game regardless of whether or not San Francisco scores there. But that
Why?
was the
Because then-
that was the death knell for them.
why? Because, well, the Bills had Josh Allen that night. And I just love that it was in prime time like that, too, so that the entire country can go ahead and just watch it.
It's very satisfying to know that
very
every
satisfying.
football fan who was watching that.
Not just that. It was what in the hell came over Josh Allen? Like, that's what a casual fan saw there.
I was afraid we were going to see Josh Allen ball prime time Monday night. We was going to
Yep.
see, but then I was like, oh, he played well at Thanksgiving, and that's
That's what I kept leaning on. They beat Pittsburgh on Saturday Night Football. I don't care that it was Duck Hodges. That was a tough game, and they played well. And then the Thanksgiving game, he balled out. So
The last time that they saw him on a national stage, he didn't play that well against Kansas City. And the time before that, well, it was the Tennessee game. That was an atrocity. And the last time before that was a playoff game
Yeah,
where Allen collapsed in the second half.
I hope that this showed people that the Josh Allen of 2020 is not the Josh Allen of 2019. He might be the only thing that came into 2020 and improved.
Only one way to find out.
Get to the playoffs and see how he does.
Well, no, you got Sunday Night Football coming.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this is a big game. So before the Bills game yesterday, the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose schedule has been turned around 80 different ways because their opponents keep
I can go to a bakery and eat less cupcakes than the Pittsburgh Steelers have had for their schedule, okay?
Well, and they finally choked on one yesterday.
There you go.
The Washington football team.
Catch the fever.
The NFC East trying to fight their way to 3-1 this week. The Dallas-Baltimore game is happening right now. Baltimore was winning last I looked. I'm not convinced they're going to lose to Dallas, but both the Giants over the Seahawks convincingly, and then Washington over Pittsburgh in a game that, and I give a lot of credit to Alex Smith. I can't even fathom how that guy, after what happened to him, can be coming back and playing this well. It just goes to show this guy went from an all-time quarterback bust at the early part of his career to a guy who has so much respect in the NFL. Getting back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, an 11-1 Steelers team, they were undefeated. And then right around the time the Bills game was kicking off, the final score comes through. I missed the last couple of plays because the Bills game had started before the final 2 minutes. But Pittsburgh just, I don't know. Without Connor, they have no run game. They have a good passing game. Ben is not Ben 10 years ago by any means.
He's still throwing the ball 53 times a game, though.
Well, their depth at wide receiver is insane between Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, James Washington, Ebron every once in a while. They have very good receiving options. Their defense keeps getting more and more hurt. They lost Bush. Now they've lost Bud Dupree.
They lost Bush's replacement, too. What's his name? Starts with an S.
I hear they might miss both their starting corners next week, I hear.
Joe Hayden is in concussion protocol.
So
Minka Fitzpatrick got banged up, too.
A problem for the Steelers because teams who lose games like this will respond in one of two ways. And I'm not sure which team Pittsburgh is because they're a very well-coached team. I have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin and what he has built there over his career. But teams who are on such a long win streak, and we saw it with the Sabres, too. Think about the Sabres' infamous win streak that ended in they torpedoed and missed the playoffs.
When was that, like
somehow.
7 years ago?
It feels like it. These teams go like this. They respond to a final loss in one of two ways. Either they come back next week, they play angry, and they play the best football they've played in a long time, or they just come out and lay a complete goose egg. I don't know which Pittsburgh team you're going to get. The talent is certainly there. There's a lot of veteran leadership, but this is a dangerous game for Pittsburgh because Buffalo is playing the best football of the season right now. And on paper, I like the Bills in this game.
So my father-in-law is a Steelers fan, and he came over for dinner last Wednesday when the Steelers were playing. And they won, and I looked at him, and I said, 19 points isn't beating the Bills. And he said, the Bills haven't seen a defense like the Steelers. I'm like, the Steelers haven't seen an offense like the Bills. And we know that the offense wins in the NFL. We know that offense is the king, and we know that, Allen has played some good defenses, and I'm not saying the Bills are going to put 40 up on the Steelers, but I don't think 19 beats the Bills. And then the week before, how many did they score against Dallas? Like 20 or something? It wasn't a lot. And then 17
like
this
20,
past week.
23 or something.
Yeah, like they were averaging 30 points a game, and now they can't even get over 20.
It was that's RG3 in their practice squad.
I just don't see the Steelers beating the Bills with 19 points. I don't care how good
people
their
have
defense
schemed
is.
out Claypool a little bit, and they're making Ben use Washington and Johnson more, which I think they're both pretty talented. Johnson has a little bit of the dropsies, but if you can take Claypool out and Connor, I'm not sure if he'll be back or what his status is. Obviously, for a cancer survivor dealing with COVID is a issue much more important than whether or not he plays in Sunday night's football game.
Yeah.
But
So
it makes
to
them
me,
almost
their
one-dimensional.
offense isn't even important, Jeff. Like even if the Bills go out and score 35 on Sunday, they're going to win. Because it's not their offense. It's not the Steelers' offense that concerns me. Like if the Steelers are going to get theirs and put up 25 points, I like Allen to hang 27.
What's nice is what's the Bills' biggest weakness in defense? You think
Run defense.
Still the run defense.
and the
Steelers can't run the ball to save their life.
55 times a game
Correct.
recently. So
And it's not even recently. That's not even recently, as a matter of fact. You mentioned Ben Roethlisberger and how he's not the same player that he was 10 years ago. Roethlisberger, it seems like, remember all the drama that blew up a couple of years ago with AB and with Le'Veon and everything like that? Roethlisberger has a puppet as an offensive coordinator, that they throw the ball so much.
He has thrown the ball over 50 times the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding
And
when I said
it's
53
an ego
and 51.
thing.
That's the real thing.
Roethlisberger wants to still be
It's
the guy.
It's McDaniels and Brady with Haley and him.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's ridiculous. And, well, it's not even Haley. It's Randy Fichtner, who is their O coordinator now the last couple of years. And Fichtner just placates to Ben. And that's all it is. So they're going to throw the football against Buffalo. They're going to do it. It doesn't matter how good their offensive line is at run blocking, which they are one of the best at doing it. They are road graders, those guys on Pittsburgh's offensive line. But they're not going to do it. Why? Because they have a guy at quarterback who's just going to want to throw the football all the time because that's who he is and that's what he's always done. He's going to be the problem, I think, for Pittsburgh to win the game because he wants to be the one to throw the football 50 times a game again. And you want to play Rochambeau with the Bills? Have fun.
How big is it? You talk about the Steelers' response, and I agree that they're either going to come out and play harder because they're pissed that they lost or they're going to be a little bit defeated. But how big is it that the Bills come rolling in after a win like that? And you say what you will about the value of culture, say what you will about the truth of momentum. The Bills are coming home Sunday night with some very real swagger. And as much as the 5 of us sitting in this room think that they match up well against the Steelers, they believe that 100-fold. They believe that they are going to beat the Steelers on Sunday, as any team would. Washington believed they were going to beat them too. Like, that's a professional sport. But they are in that locker room ready to beat this team, and I think that plays a factor. I think Pittsburgh's playing a little more scared than Buffalo. They have to be.
Bills beat the Steelers last year by a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's a much better Bills team than last year.
Now, here's the other thing. I do feel that culture is real, and I do feel that momentum is real. I also think that it can be overstated.
Mm-hmm.
But here's something else that is not mentioned enough. Yeah, they believe that they can win, but here's the other awesome thing. They have the talent to do it.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And it's not just talent. They know how to use it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference between this year and last year's team is last year you had to shut down Pittsburgh's offense and then hope your offense could put together enough to win. I don't think at this point you worry about the offense being able to put up points. The only, like you mentioned, Derek, the only way that the Bills would lose this game is if Pittsburgh finds a way to successfully defend Josh Allen in the passing attack. If they can find a way to force some turnovers or actually put some pressure on him, which San Francisco was not able to do basically at all less. And I think they got in his face once and forced one of those completions.
He got sacked one time in that.
He didn't even get sacked. He just got.
Yeah, he got sacked.
Oh, that was a sack late in the game.
When Dawkins got blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dawkins
well, the fumble that
turnstile.
shouldn't have been a fumble, but we won't get into that because the Bills recovered the ball.
Right.
But yeah, that's I forgot where I was going
And it
with
comes, but this also comes 1 week after Allen was knocked around by the Chargers because of the fact that, well, I mean,
They had their Bosa and San
Joey
Francisco
Bosa is a problem. And the Chargers pass rush, even without Melvin Ingram, I said this in the quick hits, you want to run the football when you have a pass rush that is as dangerous as the Chargers is. That's got to be it. I'm not having Josh Allen drop back 40 times against the Chargers. Why? Because they gave Pat Mahomes fits before the Chargers decided to charger in their first meeting this season. But they had Mahomes and beat the hell out of him for 3 quarters. That pass rush, the Bills knew, Dable knew, didn't want to have to make Allen, who has fumble problems, yesterday notwithstanding, that statistic is BS, but Allen does have fumble issues. He almost lost one to Bosa a couple weeks ago. It's going to be something that you need to counter. The Pittsburgh pass rush is going to be the most important part of that game. Because God knows, the whole country saw it. If you ain't getting in his face, he's going to destroy you.
And their pass rush is severely negated by injury right now with
But
Dupree
Dupree.
out and Devin Bush. And then what is the kid's name that was replacing Devin Bush? He went down with a serious knee injury.
How do you
yesterday.
stop Baylor right now? He blitz him. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now against the blitz statistically. I think he's the top completion percentage, I think, in the league against the blitz. You don't rush him. You put guys in coverage. He's going to run all over you, and he'll run you over. He's proved that.
And his receivers look
He'll literally jump over you or just run you over.
I think there's only 2 ways at this point to actually defend Josh Allen, and it's difficult to tell teams to do it. The one way is to just have very good cornerbacks, drop guys into coverage, and have a spy on Allen who actually has the athleticism of, say, a Bobby Wagner type or a Devin Bush type, even though he won't be on the field on Sunday. The other way is to So Spillane was the other
Robert
linebacker
Spillane,
we were trying to
who was
think of there.
replacing Devin Bush, is now expected to miss
So they're
time with
really
the
hurt at that
injury.
position.
Yes.
The other way, and I think Josh's biggest weakness, and I'm hoping that no one figures it out effectively, is disguising coverage at the line and giving him confusing looks. I still see him having issues recognizing exactly what the defense is doing at the line. If they're showing extra guys on the blitz who don't come or disguising blitzes, I think that is his weakness.
I thought the Niners were doing an awful job disguising coverage.
They were.
Because I could tell who was not going to blitz. They kept, by the guys they were faking, they were like faking oddly early, and like all those guys would drop into coverage every time. So it was almost easy, I think.
I think there was one play yesterday where they actually effectively hit who was blitzing, and the guy came up the middle, got into Josh's face. Josh didn't step into throw, and that was one of his actual 4 incompletions on the night, not including the throwaways. But yeah, no, Justin, I think you're exactly right. They did not at all find a way to make Josh second guess anything. You have to make him think. If he just gets to go out there and do whatever he wants, you might as well just go back on the bus, because we saw last night what he does when he is in his element, comfortable, has time. You have to try to take his time away. You have to make him read. You have to go to second reads. You have to make him think more. I'm not even sure that would stop him, but you do have to try.
Because there have been a couple games. I believe it was Seattle and against the Chargers. There were a couple games where they were able to get some pressure on him, but it wasn't enough to really slow him down.
So when's the last time the Bills had a quarterback who pre-snap looked like, and I know you mentioned that if you can disguise things, you can confuse them still. But when is the last time the Bills had a quarterback who read the defense the way Allen does pre-snap? I love when they zoom in on his face and you see the eyes scanning, you see the fingers pointing, you hear the call out of the Mike linebacker, you see him making hand signals, and I know every quarterback does it. I did not see Nick Mullins scanning left to right saying, what's Tremaine Edmonds' number? 49 is Mike, and zebra, whatever. And I was talking to my wife about it, because as much as, flack as Peyton got for Omaha and all of his pre-snap stuff, even if it is fluff, Allen is legitimately checking into things. And like, I'm not saying that Tyrod couldn't have done that, or maybe he didn't have permission to do that, but how many times do we hear Allen, alert, kill, and that is him reading a defense and making a play. And I've noticed that way more this year than even the last 2 years.
Funny enough, that was a problem of his in college. Like, he was dreadful at it at Wyoming. He was terrible at reading things pre-snap. Hot reads in particular to counter blitzes was one of those things that I saw on film when I would scout him that was alarming. He was terrible at it, and that was the kind of player that I didn't want the Bills to touch, because he looked like he was not cerebral at all. The development and the work that Brian Daboll has had with him on a week-to-week, year-to-year basis, pre-snap, is one of the biggest improvements. And, again, less of the small, smooth brain moments, allowing for that higher completion percentage, because he's thinking.
See, what you just said is exactly the reason I didn't like him out of the draft. And even as early as last year, same thing. Like, my favorite thing I always said about him was he's fool's gold. He's bright and shiny on the outside. He's got all the talent in the world. Size, speed, strength. The arm talent is undeniable, but the inside is mush. It's like you're biting an apple, a bunch of worms in there, because he couldn't read a defense. He couldn't pick up a hot read. Like, simple things but he's obviously very clearly changed that about his game.
Part of what the Bills have done right with Josh is that he has been given something that not a lot of, if any of the other quarterbacks taken in that draft class have had. Consistency of coaching. You talk about Brian Daboll working with him in the offseason. How nice is it for him to have the same OC to work with between the 2 seasons? Because Josh Rosen didn't have that. Sam Darnold's got...
Josh Rosen didn't even have the same team.
Yeah, he didn't have the same team. Baker Mayfield's on his 3rd coach in as many years. I mean, I think Josh is objectively playing better than all these other guys in the draft class right now, and I don't think it's even particularly close. But part of it is, I think a well-coached player will always do better than a talented player with nothing around him.
A well-coached, talented player will always do
Josh
better.
is an insanely talented guy. He's got all the tools in the world.
It's like I said earlier.
But you needed to give him...
You fixed that floor. It was creaky. You fixed the floor, so now it's all about the ceiling.
Yeah. And if they didn't have this system in place, if he came... Imagine Josh Allen being drafted by the Jets.
Oh, boy.
Imagine Josh Allen under Adam Gase. We will be talking about we would be watching Jets games and just marveling at the decisions this kid is making.
Wait, we're not doing that already with Darnold?
I don't think really. I don't know. I watch the Jets games and I'm like, man, I feel bad for this guy.
You feel bad for him, but there's a lot of decisions that he makes where he is not looking sharp. And that was something I saw when he was out of USC. I'm like, I don't know if I like Darnold either.
I guess my point is that I think if the Bills had taken Sam Darnold, I know they couldn't if it wasn't a choice they were able to make.
But
but if Sam Darnold was in this system, I do think they could have made it. I think they could have made any of these guys work because it's not just about the guy. They obviously like Josh. They wanted to work with him specifically. But if Josh had been sniped by someone else ahead of them,
Josh got taken by the Jets because they really wanted him instead.
I think Darnold or Rosen or I think they could. It's just the system is so good and they've done such a good job of building to the talent of Josh Allen. They would have just taken, okay, well, now we've got Josh Rosen. Let's build a system that works for him. And I think this coaching staff is smart enough to do it.
It's almost like they have the right pieces around him to be able to complete the puzzle.
The difference between the Sabres and the Bills is that the Bills got the right GM and coach and built around their best player, and the Sabres still haven't.
And again, it was all about fixing the floor. Can you make sure that he's not going to have this team collapse? And now it's all about the ceiling. And when Josh Allen is heading toward that ceiling, that is a dangerous Super Bowl contender. Yeah, I'm back on my shit.
I want Kansas City again now they figured out their defense.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
I want Kansas City.
Figure the
I want
defense
Tennessee
and
again,
they-
too.
I want
Tennessee is garbage
I
right
want
now.
Tennessee
want Kansas
not
City.
on a Tuesday that was supposed to be on a Sunday the week before, but then got changed to the week after. And you might play Kansas City. Here's Tennessee. That's how I want Tennessee, just like that.
I want Kansas City again simply because of the fact that you almost had them last time with the weather being an equalizer. No, I want them in peak conditions. I want Rochambeau shot for shot. I don't give a damn about my defense. I'll throw them in the volcano if I have to.
The thing is, too, their
Let's go.
defense is figuring it out, and they're still.
And I'm still willing to throw them in the volcano.
Milano's still getting healthy. He played yesterday, but
Yeah,
he
he
didn't play
played.
much.
Yeah.
He made a few plays, I think.
And
Yeah, they
Klein,
made some plays,
and Klein
but
is no longer the liability.
He still didn't
was.
play much,
True.
though.
Right.
They said they really kind of eased him in, and they said today that they liked what they saw, and they finally feel like he's worked through his injury, and they're gonna give him more. So
I'm sorry, but are you taking? This is going to sound ridiculous. Are you taking that many snaps from AJ Klein the way he's been playing?
I think if you do,
Yeah.
your team is still better.
Yeah.
That's
I think
the
Milano's
messed up
better
thing
than
about
Klein
it.
still.
So remember, we talked about how his worst performance was that Miami game. AJ Klein is one of the starters against Miami for that Week 17. How nervous are you really?
I'm less nervous than I was 5 weeks ago.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
But I do think that AJ Klein over a 17-week season is closer to the guy in week 3 than he is the guy 2 weeks ago who was AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Oh, yeah, no, but it's looking like he's steadied along, and so is this defense.
It seems like they've figured out ways to use him better.
Yes, and now when you have Milano taking those snaps, say on a 3rd and 12, for example, you can allow for the best situational player in these instances now. Milano doesn't have to be the banger going in there and taking the first block. No, Klein can go ahead and be that person, or you want him to rush the passer. AJ Klein suddenly found a knack for finding the quarterback in the backfield. And you have Milano there. Like, now this is about keeping fresh bodies.
Yeah.
And-
He's still to me has gaping holes.
Oh, he does.
Like we talked in the Slack
AJ
chat,
Klein
he
and Matt
shoots
Matt
the gap.
Milano.
He reads the play, shoots the gap, and then misses a tackle that would be a 6-yard loss, and it turns into a 15-yard gain. And I am not on the hype train with the whole defensive player of the month or whatever he won. Like
Yeah.
That one is like fine.
at least once or twice a game. You know,
Honestly, he wasn't even the best defensive player of that game.
You expect defense, like you expect missed tackles sometimes from your defense. It's just consistently him.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I would argue like of their last 5 egregious missed tackles as a team, he
It's
might be
been
responsible
mostly-
for all
it's
of
mostly
them. Like,
Klein.
so I am not. I still prefer Milano.
I would
prefer
agree.
Milano for the consistency aspect and for the more all around type. Because I don't think AJ Klein is covering anybody.
I would
So-
agree. What it is, though, is that you're allowed to play situational football. And you can allow for Matt Milano to ease back into the lineup more confidently. So it's not that Milano's going to be an every down backer. No, it's that now your replacement, maybe he may, like say Milano's on the field for something. If Tremaine Edmonds needs a break, you can take a couple snaps off for him.
It's kind of like having Ristolainen on the ice for 18 minutes, not 25.
Exactly. And that's where it's just, again, I loving what this team has been doing, how they've progressed, and it's not about where you start, and the Bills started hot. It's about how you can keep going.
I opened the show giving a lot of credit to Brian Dable. I'd like to make sure that before we move on to anything else, that we also take some time to give credit to Leslie Frazier, because this defense
taking some
was
heat lately.
an issue at the beginning of the season. And I don't know when or if it was just getting healthy or what they changed, but my confidence in the Bills defense is so much higher sitting here today.
I think a lot of it's getting healthy. The defensive backfield was injured. Remember Trey White had the back thing? They were down Levi Wallace, the polarizing Levi Wallace. We sat in this room a few weeks ago when he came back and said we left him off the field when he went out, and now we're happy to have him back, whatever.
Yeah, because it's until you see who's replacing him.
He's getting blitzed on Twitter today.
Got blitzed by his
he
coaches
got picked
today.
on yesterday.
He got picked up. They threw the ball 40-ish times, and they had 430 yards passing.
It just
and
felt
they're,
like
and they're avoiding Trey. The ball's going to go somewhere. They're going to get their catches. He didn't play great.
the
that's for sure.
zero passes defended. Like I
He
don't
had
need him
one.
to have
Well,
two
he had
picks.
one, and then they
Correct.
took it away.
Like I agree with you, Justin, that he's being targeted, but there's a difference between being targeted a bunch of being exposed.
Yeah.
And there were times he was exposed yesterday.
But he's covered.
He's exposed for a certain reason.
My wife is not a sports fan, and she's like, I bet that Mullins just looks at where Wallace is on the field and decides that's where he's throwing the
Yes and no. It depends on the matchup. Levi Wallace is very good at neutralizing a possession receiver. When it's the lateral quickness of a player, he's going to struggle. He's not that guy. He never was that guy, and that was the reason he went undrafted was his foot speed. So for him to
Ayuk is a nightmare for him.
Ayuk is a nightmare for him.
Great player.
He's a nightmare for a player like Wallace. What it is that they got the exact matchup they needed. And
he didn't
how-
just cover Ayuk. He was
how
covering
often has-
Debo
But
too.
you know what I
Yeah,
want to
it's a
see?
lose-lose.
You know what I want to see
Yeah.
occasionally for me? When was it Dane Jackson that was on the field against Hopkins when he batted down the pass in the end zone? When for that one snap? Yeah. Was that Dane Jackson that
That
made
was
that
Dane
play?
Jackson.
I want to
Yeah.
see once in a while Levi make that play.
Yep.
I'm not saying not to give up 6 catches in a game against the number 2 receiver or whatever, but Levi did, for me, he did nothing impressive yesterday.
and he had a bad game. That's exactly
But
what
Justin
it was.
doesn't think he had a bad game,
Well, I'll
which
tell
is
you,
where I take exception.
I didn't. I've not said
Saying
he
he
didn't
had
play
a bad
bad.
year.
I have
Saying
not
he had a bad
said
game
he
yesterday.
did not play bad yesterday. I don't. But he obviously made the play, a nice play in that pass interference call.
Time to check
Bad call.
receipts.
Go ahead, you can check away all you want to.
Yeah, I was going to say
thought
receipts on
I thought
that.
he made a nice play on the Ayuk at 49 He had
Yeah.
he had a little bit of his hand on it. Ayuk made a nice play, but I really want to say is that Hyde bet on that play action hard and was laid over the top.
I mean, yeah, there's plenty of times where other players take blame.
I want to say this too before I lose my spot talking. Fun fact
Fun fact.
about Levi Wallace: Bills are 8-0. Levi Wallace starts. They're 1-3. He's not in lineup.
Again, when you
I'm
until
not
you
saying he's out there winning them games. He's not out there being like, oh my god, they're number 2 quarterbacks. Amazing.
Okay, you said you don't think
But
he was that
I'm
bad.
not done talking.
You said you didn't think he was that bad. That was your quote.
Okay.
yeah.
But I'm not saying he's out there winning them games and he's like, oh my gosh, their number 2 cornerback is something else. Someone's going to pick him up free agency. The defense is undoubtedly better when he's in the game.
Cornerback is one of their most shallow positions.
It
on the depth
is.
chart.
Yeah.
But how many teams in the league have like a stalwart
Right.
number 2 defender, number 2 cornerback? The
There's
Cardinals maybe.
There's only a couple, and you could probably name them all because they're notable.
Like, what do you want? Like, you can't have a perfect football team. If you have Levi Wallace, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
I think he gets unfair flack, and he did not
It's-
play good. He did not play. He did not play great.
It's exactly that. He had a bad game. He doesn't match up against certain types of receivers. And yesterday was that.
I'm waiting for the advanced stats that come out on Wednesdays. I want to see how many times he was targeted.
But that stat, they're 8-0 with him lineup and 1-3 without. That is telling.
I guess, Steve, to your wife's point, I would
Josh
say,
Norman
was it
would've
that they
struggled
were
the same
looking
way.
where Levi is, or were they just looking where Trey wasn't? Because they did
Yeah.
not go at Trey at all. And the one time I remember him doing it, Trey picked him off. It's tough to be the guy across from the shutdown corner because unless you're just going to get the ball thrown at you every single time.
This might be a dumb question, but were they afraid of going at Trey? Or were they afraid of going at Trey with Nick Mullins?
I mean, I think Nick Mullins probably terrified of throwing.
Dude, they were afraid to go at Trey with DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah.
in Arizona.
Yeah.
So it took a Hail Mary for his stat line to actually blow up.
True.
And guess what? A certain Mr. White had his hand on the football
Yeah.
before he was knocked away from the play.
Yeah.
So
They should probably lock up Trey White long term.
They,
They probably should pay him a lot of money to stay in Buffalo.
Imagine not drafting Patrick Mahomes, right? I mean, that there's definitely nothing else to look into. Just imagine, like they totally didn't use
Trust
that
me.
pick on Trey White by any means.
trust me, not drafting the new version of football Jesus is always going to sting a little.
Yeah.
But I feel like
a lot less.
I feel like they've, and again, this is where Josh Allen. Remember when it was my debut back into this group, and I just threw a piss fit about the Patrick Mahomes thing.
37 fucks in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, all of the F-bombs. It all depended on what Josh Allen does. And guess what he's doing? He is softening that blow a hell of a lot.
They also did a lot of also to help soften that blow. They've got a lot of good players, and
They got plenty of talent from that, but at the same time, how do you soften the blow about Patrick Mahomes? Well, just like we
Have
said,
a quarterback
I
that
want
throws for
Kansas City.
414
I want Kansas
in
City.
prime time.
That's how you reverse
Give me
it.
Tennessee in the first round, then Kansas City.
Yeah, that's how you shut everyone
Get your
the hell
reverse
up.
revenge tour for those primetime games.
That's how you shut
If I
everyone
looked at any of you guys and said Allen was going to throw for 375 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks, you'd be like, hell yeah. And then if I told you he would do it 4 times in their first 12 games, then you might be like, holy shit. And then if I said he's going to do it 4 times in their first 12 games and they're going to be 9-3, and he's going to outperform Russell Wilson, and he's going to beat the Rams, and he's going to beat, maybe Pittsburgh.
Is
all
there
of
a
sudden,
single
like-
quarterback that they've played this year that he hasn't outperformed, even in defeat?
Right.
I would
That's a
say
great
Patrick
question.
Mahomes because he did not
he
That was
play well.
even
all
st- but
Clyde
statistically,
Edwards-Helaire.
that was all
all
running for
Edwards-Helaire.
No, I know, but what I'm saying though is that even statistically, he did get outperformed by Pat Mahomes, but that was a game that he still kept you in it too. But he didn't play well.
Yeah.
And it's really all about that. In the 2 big time, like in the 2 losses. I mean, the Arizona game, call that what you will. He did.
Tennessee and Kansas City is what you're talking about.
Yes, I'm talking about Tennessee and Kansas City. Josh Allen did not play well. Bad even. The Patriots game. Well, New England had us dead to rights until a fumble. Allen did not play well.
That game, it also was more expedient to run
And-
the ball because they were getting a lot of yardage doing
Yeah.
that. So I think they decided,
And-
you know what, Allen's not
and
playing
again- Oh,
the greatest, but we're getting a lot of yards rushing, so
Also
let's go with
Some of that was game script,
Also,
but
45
Allen,
mile per hour winds.
Sustained.
but Allen,
Sustained 40-mile-an-hour winds will do that.
but Allen did not play well in that game overall, and that's
did
okay.
Did he cost them any of those games? And this is the floor you're talking about.
That's
because
the
did
floor.
Josh Allen cost them any of those 3 games?
The Tennessee game,
Tennessee
yes.
game, I would say.
I don't even know if he cost them the game.
Andre Roberts cost him the start of that game, but he did not clean it up either.
Correct, but he also didn't get help from the defense, and that game was
That
not,
game went
the
off the
Tennessee game was
rails.
never close to me. Right, it fell off the
that
rails.
game was just a total
I don't look at that
effort.
game and say, "Damn it, Allen! Damn it, Josh, you blew it." Like I didn't.
It's not
look at
that
it
he
way.
blew it; it's that he also didn't play well enough to clean it up.
Right, but I didn't look at. He didn't throw a touchdown and 4 interceptions and cost them that game. I don't.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's
I don't
just,
think he's the one that cost them that.
but
game.
it's again, as Jeff's saying, that ceiling. And if he's not hitting closer to that, you're not going to win the football game. That's how this
But
team
let's
is
be
made up
real
now.
too, Derek, that this guy's floor this year has been 200 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. We couldn't get that from a quarterback in their strong weeks before.
And that's why they're 9-3. Because
Yes.
as I've said, and I'm going to say again, and I'm going to say it when the Bills host a playoff game. Yeah, I fucking said it.
Oh yes, bring it on.
The fans are going to love it.
The Bills go as far as 17 goes. And that is exactly how it is supposed to be said. The Arizona game, the anomaly. But even then, he let Arizona back in the game with some bad plays. They are going as far as Allen takes them. And if he plays like he has 75% of the time this
Yeah.
season,
They're winning 3 out of 4
75%
games.
of the
They're
time,
going-
They're
it
winning 3 out of
works
4 games.
all
they're going to the AFC
Yeah.
Championship in that round. In that kind of
Do you
pace.
start to look? Are we starting to look at seeding? Are you guys starting to look at the schedule?
No, no. You want to know why?
Avoid certain teams.
No, you want to know
Like,
why? I'm a cocky bitch.
Nope.
You don't care who they play.
I am a cocky bitch. They can beat anyone.
At this point, I'm only worried about Kansas City.
I mean, they're going to play Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Kansas City in the regular season, and
I saw a tweet.
Right now it's Miami.
in Miami.
Right now,
and-
it's Miami in the playoffs, which
Not
doesn't
worried.
scare me.
Yeah.
I saw a
And
tweet
neither would
on
Browns,
Sunday.
But then for after that, how worried are you about seeding for if you catch
Nope.
KC?
Nope.
in the-
I'm of the
in the
mind that
divisional
to
round.
make a Super
Nope.
Bowl, you have to beat everyone. So
Yeah,
Bring it. I'm a cocky bitch.
I'm trying to look at the path of least resistance. If somehow you can catch Kansas City a week later, or there's a chance that Kansas City gets beat because any given Sunday type deal, and you don't have to play them. If having the 3 seed is more advantageous than the 4 seed, I'm looking at that. I don't care.
They
Get a
didn't
home
even lose
playoff
to
game.
KC by double digits.
I agree. I'm not saying they don't match up well with them. But if their path to the Super Bowl is not having to play Kansas City at all, I'm fine with it. Like it's like when people say, "Oh, I want to beat New England with Brady." Fuck that. I want to beat New England.
No, I've
anytime.
always wanted that.
Right? Like,
It doesn't matter.
That's kind of how I feel about this. Like I don't need Brady to be playing to beat New England to be happy about it. New England has beat you twice a year, every year for 40 years. Just beat them. And that's how I feel about this trip to the Super Bowl. If I can get there because Kansas City loses to Tennessee in a weird fluky way or something, sign me up for it.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. Absolutely. If KC's not in the way, that's great. Great news for the entire AFC at that point. Because if you're a playoff
that
team,
opens it up.
And if you can have seeding that you won't line up with them in the divisional round, I would prefer that.
if you see KC lose, every one of those AFC teams that are alive, their fan bases are going, "Oh, all right, let's go.
Yep.
This is the year." But me, I'm a cocky bitch. Why? I saw a tweet on Sunday saying, "Hey, here are the teams that you'd want to see lose in terms of seeding," and I'm like, "Nah, they could beat anyone. Shut up. I'm good."
They could beat anyone.
I'm ready.
I'm with that.
The only team I'm worried about though is KC.
Yeah,
If
right.
I would not be worried about anybody they go against.
And wire
And
to
I'm
wire,
of the
they were
mind
in
that
that
Kansas
game.
City will finish with the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Kansas City's losing. I think Kansas City's going 15-1, and I don't think the Steelers are going 15-1.
Pittsburgh's got to deal with Buffalo and Indianapolis. Indy's
And
got
Tennessee,
a strong
Tennessee.
defense. Indy's got a really strong defense.
I think they have the best pass rush in the league.
The problem with Indy is they're Pittsburgh with a worse offense.
Yes.
They're the exact same team.
Yes. With the quarterback
With an
drafted
old,
the
with an
same
old
year.
quarterback. Yeah, it's. They also really, I mean, I guess Taylor could figure it out a little more, but they don't really have a run game. They have a pretty good defense, but not great all timer, and they have a quarterback who has to use his entire back to throw because his arm is
The
shot.
Steelers go to Cleveland too. I don't think
I don't know what to
I
think
don't
about
think
Cleveland.
Cleveland's good, but that game is not one that I'm saying
They
the Steelers are going to run them
were
over.
amazing for 30 minutes on Sunday,
Correct.
and they took their foot off the gas.
Here's the
They
thing.
took Tennessee behind the woodshed for
Here's the
30
thing.
minutes.
I don't consider Cleveland even a speed bump against Pittsburgh because Cleveland is to Pittsburgh as what we have been for the Patriots under Brady. It's not good. It's never been good. And the tie a couple of years ago was a miracle for Cleveland against Pittsburgh. They are that bad against them. I think that, again, I'm cocky. Maybe it's because of how they won. Maybe it's because of the way that they've played a large portion of the year. And even in one loss, they could beat anybody.
Because of the third wild card being added this year, it really doesn't feel like seeding matters as much to me. And I don't know if that's the wrong mindset to take, but because now there's only one bye in each conference.
Yeah.
Since I don't see Kansas City and Pittsburgh losing enough for the Bills to have a play at that, no matter what they did. I think the Bills could win
Right.
out and not be the number one seed.
Yeah,
in the
13-3. Like, could you imagine 13-3 and you don't get a bye week? let alone
13-3 be like the 4 seed.
even in the old format,
Yeah.
you'd be the 3 seed at 13-3. You'd be pissed.
Because you're behind 15-1 and 14-2.
Yeah,
Right.
you'd be pissed. Like if this was a normal year where there's 2 teams that get a bye week, I'd be like, damn it. The Chiefs and the Steelers have this all but locked up.
Right. It's reasonable to think the Bills could finish 13-3 and actually be the number 2 seed because you beat Pittsburgh, you have the head-to-head, and Pittsburgh just has to lose one more of those games, as Steve was mentioning. It's not unreasonable to think the Bills, if they were to win out, which isn't a given, could actually be the number 2 seed in the AFC.
But then one of those teams that you happen
two
to have
matter
3
more
losses,
than 3 matter more than 4? I mean,
no. At this point, no.
Unless you have a bye, I don't think it actually
And
matters.
that could
only
make 7.
thing-
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
The only thing that could happen is if 2 seed would get a home game in the division round as well.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Yeah, but
And
there's
with
not
no
going to be any
fans,
fans
with
there.
no fans,
Right.
It
it's
doesn't
even more
again.
different.
So even that doesn't feel like it matters.
You have to
me.
wonder if the Bills have a play at the 2 seed in week 17, but they have the division
Like
locked up if they don't play Barkley anyway. I hope they would.
Yeah, I think
I
they
hope that they
probably
would
would.
play Barkley
And-
because you might be playing Miami again the next week.
The only
You
advantage
could play Miami
to
back-to-back weeks. And
having a home second round game would be having fans in attendance or the weather.
Right.
But if you're the 2 and you assume Pittsburgh's the 3, let's assume you both take care of business. There's no weather advantage there. You
Right.
could get Cleveland. You could get. I mean, unless you get Miami in the second round, it doesn't matter.
Miami or Indy right now are the
Tennessee.
and Indy's a cold weather team. They just play in a dome.
let Allen
sometimes.
play in the dome. Apparently, he fucking balled out in the dome yesterday. Go to Indy somehow.
Just decide to play all games in a bubble in Indianapolis to see how far these guys can really throw the
most
damn ball.
most of these teams, if you're going to end up, whether it be in Buffalo or somewhere else, you're gonna be dealing with some form of snow. It's gonna happen. KC, they've got snow. Pittsburgh, they've got snow.
Allen's got the big hands and the strong arm. Coach McDermott said so.
So everything being said thus far in the show, my biggest one of my biggest takeaways of the game yesterday is I think I saw the Hail Mary about 3 times.
I love how they shoehorned it in the final minute, even though Buffalo was kneeling down to win the game.
That's
I mean,
what-
it's a better ending than the last time they were there. True. That's a way to shoehorn it.
I just wanted to get Steve. Look at Steve. Good.
Sports Center right after the game. They felt the need. The last time the Bills were on this field, and they fucking showed it. Like, what are we talking about this for?
I mean, DirecTV is still showing.
Remember how I
Robinson
called
for
them
fun
assholes, Steve?
They're
Saw
still-
Deer
they're
the game
still
twice,
talking.
right where the
Yeah.
game ended.
Yep.
Doesn't it feel good knowing they haven't lost since then?
Yes. Doesn't it feel good that if they would feel good that if they would have won that game, they'd be on a 6-game winning streak?
Yeah, it feels. I mean, really, it's a 5-game winning. It's a 5-game winning streak punctuated by, again, not to overstate it, nothing you can do. Sometimes the other team just does something right,
And you could be 4-0 against the NFC West,
which is crazy to think
It's just,
about.
I know it
Yeah.
should have, would have, could have, but regardless.
yeah,
Well,
you're a
3-1
Hail-
against the NFC West
fucking
is still
good.
good.
Yeah. Even if you don't even look at how, but just literally how many. 3-1 against the NFC West, you take it.
3-1 against any division. When the schedule is drawn up and you get the NFC North, South, East, or
Except
West,
for the
you would
NFC
take 3 and
East.
4.
I'd be pissed.
You would take 3-1 against any of them anytime, just when the schedule comes out. Like we
Think
talked about the split, Jeff.
Yeah.
If they can split between Seattle and Arizona, we'd be happy. They
Right.
did. And then if they can split 4, take 2 out of 4 against Seattle, Arizona, Pittsburgh, and 49ers. Well, they've already done that.
Right. This is all
They've
gravy
gotten
at this
2 out of
point.
4. They're playing with house money. They have the lead in the division. If the Chiefs don't beat Miami, I'm going to be pissed. But the advantage to this is, even if you lose on Sunday Night Football, as long as the Chiefs beat Miami, you didn't lose any ground in the division. I know this is a whole lot of hypotheticals, but they are set up so well, and they've earned it. They've set themselves up for the success.
Well, you take care of business,
It
and you're
wasn't
rewarded
Tyler-
either way.
It wasn't Tyler Boyd catching a pass on 4th and 17. They have positioned themselves to have a 1-game lead in the division that cannot be taken from them. If you know what I mean.
That is why I'm a cocky bitch.
I guess my point is too. Even let's Buffalo takes care of business Sunday night. Oh no, Kansas City lost to Miami. Oh no, we gained a game on both Pittsburgh and Kansas City.
Correct.
Take care of your business and
Correct.
let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, seriously. Like
It's
that
a
would
win.
be-
That game's a win-win if you take care of your business.
This is
Sunday
not
night.
the Bills being in the hunt, where as long as Cleveland and Pittsburgh tie 13-13 and the game finishes before 9 p.m., the Bills are only a half
If
game
these
out
three
of the
games
last wild
tie
card spot.
and the Steelers win by exactly 7 points,
Then the
You know
Bills
what's-
are 1 game out.
You know, it's poetic goddamn justice. The Patriots are there.
I love how far down the second place team in the NFC East is on the in the hunt graphic, because they normally, what the records of these teams wouldn't be included, but because they are included, they're also including like Chicago and the other NFC teams. They're like technically only 2 games out of the wild card, but really not competing. So
Hey,
they've
the
got, like,
Lion-
the
the
entire
Lions-
NFC is in the hunt basically.
The
Except for-
Lions still have a 0.1% chance to win their division.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah, they
Wow.
got to win out, and Pittsburgh. And
they got
Green
their-
Bay has to tie Minnesota twice,
Correct.
and yeah.
I mean, they got their best step toward that 0.1% chance by finally
Firing Matt Patricia.
finally firing Matt
If
Patricia.
they had done it
but-
3 weeks ago, they would have a 0.5% chance.
Exactly. See? Idiots.
It feels good to be in this position. I did say in our Slack chat I was so mad that New England won, especially 45-0, because the narrative immediately became they're not out of the playoffs, they're not out of the division race, and I'm tired
Ready?
of it already.
Ready? Bring them.
Oh yeah,
Fuck them.
yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
I
but
can't wait.
I'm talking about just the national narrative.
I can't
today.
I can't wait to play them in like a game with ideal settings. It's not 45
Week
mile.
16, bury them.
Even if
Yeah.
it's snowing, it's better than 45-mile-per-hour sustained winds.
They're going to
They
just
say
shovel the dirt on top of New England in week 16, and I'm going to be there for
You know what?
every second.
I
of
hope
it.
they do, Derek. But Justin, if they win that game 14-13, I don't give 2 shits.
They won't though. They'll win,
I don't
like-
care if it's sunny and 70.
Oh, I'm not
out.
talking
If
about
they win by
scoreboard. I'm
1
talking
point.
literally they win, and that's the dirt on their
Oh yeah,
coffin.
that's all they got to do. Bury him.
The Chargers. They
They tried something very interesting on Sunday. They just tried to win without scoring any points.
Well,
including a chip shot field goal that they decided not to block anybody, and then allow it not only to be blocked but then to be returned for a touchdown.
the most impressive thing
Oh,
they
the Chargers
did on
and
Sunday.
special teams failures. I haven't seen that before.
So the Patriots punted 4 times on Sunday. The Chargers, on those 4 punt returns, sent out the following amount of players for those 4 punt returns:
Oh boy.
10, 12, 11, and 10.
hey, they got it
12
right
is
once.
smart.
They were 1
12
for 4.
is smart because if you get away with it,
You got an
you ain't
extra
cheating,
blocker.
you ain't trying.
How
so,
was that team so badly coached? How
Well,
are you a
hang on.
professional coach and are that bad at
I
coaching?
have the answer.
Derek.
Do you remember how Anthony Lynn coached that game against the Jets and then a kickoff was recovered in the end zone?
Yes. Forgetting
That should have been a signal.
It's a team that
He can be a
winning
great
in
guy
spite
all
of
he
him.
wants. He needs to be fired out of a cannon.
And remember, the only thing that's going well for them this season is Justin Herbert, and it wasn't his intention to play him. They just punctured Tyrod's lung,
they
giving him
decided
injection
to-
before the
to
game.
the
Doctor,
Had to.
the
Suffocate
team
their starting
doctor
quarterback.
is the team MVP.
They're missing
Also
Engram. They're lost Derwin
They'd be like
James.
they'd be 1-11 right
And
now.
Keenan
Yeah,
Allen is
I
still
think-
catching 90 balls this year, which is crazy.
Speaking of guys who are open every play,
Yeah.
I think this is Karma's way of telling the Chargers to move back to San Diego.
Yeah. I'm for
Yeah,
it.
it's been weird for them since then, huh?
Oh man,
Spanos.
They are just a mess. They really are. They're such a weird team.
Because they're a good team.
But you want to know
They're a really good 3-8 team.
there's
I'm
only
not just saying that.
there's only
you can
one
fix that.
thing.
3-9.
There's only one thing that's going to bring my high down about the Buffalo Bills.
What's that?
Sabres Twitter.
Oh, I hate Sabres Twitter.
And you want to know why I'm saying that? I mean, because we're getting some real good reports about 56 game season coming from Greg Wyshynski. That report,
January now.
January
We're talking
13th.
a month, boys.
We're talking 1 month about getting hockey back, and then one of the most miserable parts of the fan base is going to be there, and and guess what? That might be the only thing that kills my high, because otherwise I'm just going to be like, nope, don't care. Bills, Super Bowl, fuck off.
I'm going all Bills until I'm going all.
The
Bills
thing is, I
until,
love
Super
hockey.
Bowl.
That's my
Yeah.
problem. I love hockey so much. I'm going to want to watch it. And then, therefore, Monday through Saturday, I'm going to be fucking miserable. And then the Bills are going to play football.
How much of I'll keep it PG. How excited were you seeing Hall and Skinner skating together?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, I peed a little bit.
And
I'm like,
lit-
this is real.
and literally skating circles around the guys that were playing against.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall is a Buffalo Sabre.
Mm-hmm.
I know we might have talked about that once
Even-
or twice before.
Even
but
if only for a year.
Taylor Hall's a Buffalo Sabre with Jack Eichel. Not even just Taylor Hall's a Sabre.
Yep.
Taylor Hall's a Sabre with Jack Eichel.
I mean, even blanket statement, that's exciting.
Yes.
That's all I care about right now.
This is the Sabres shot at the Stephon Diggs move. This is, let's give our best player another incredible player to work with.
And then Taylor Hall's going to have like 2 red bars on a chart, and then they're going to say he's not that good.
Well, that one time he skated backwards when he should have skated sideways.
Get me going. Don't get me going. Fuck, Derek. I'm having a good night.
I'm excited to see it. I'll be tuning in for the opener.
See, this is what I'm mentally already preparing for. Okay.
Derek's,
the worst part
Derek's
about-
over Corsi numbers.
The worst part is Sabres Twitter starting to invade Bills Twitter.
I know.
And
Because the Bills are good, so they're crossing over. And
the Bills Twitter was always kind of super blowhardy.
Yeah.
But it's like those guys know what they're talking about. I feel like, and there's good stuff, but I can't stand.
you can
Sabres
find,
Twitter.
and maybe I'm wrong about this. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Bills Twitter, you can find a lot of objective stuff.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Cover one,
Yeah.
super objective.
That's kinda what- yeah.
Like cover one is like, here's this zip ZY scheme.
I
You know
love,
what I mean? And
I
it's-
love
it's-
what Aaron Quinn and
Yes.
Greg Thompson do with their podcast for
Yep.
Cover One. So there's
Eric-
there's
Eric
a
Turner, too,
there's some
with his
podcast to
work
podcast love right there.
And they
I
were
just hate
they were
that-
doing this long before the Bills
Correct.
were good. So more
And
power
it-
to
yeah,
them.
and it's objective. It's literally they show you a 13-second clip and they say, "Hey, here's the zone blocking
love their
scheme that they
podcast. Those
used
guys are
3
awesome.
times," and it's objective. And I don't know that I know analytics are data, but it always feels like there is an ulterior motive
You wanna know
to
the-
the analytics being posted because they can make someone look really good or they can make someone look really bad and use analytics to justify.
Even the war on
Maybe I'm
analytics
wrong.
with Josh Allen.
The big you know, here. Sorry, I see all the analytics about Ristolainen, and the only video proof to back it up is a fucking bad winger on the boards. Like it's just the worst evidence you can have of bad analytics. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. Only bad video evidence I see is him going for a bad hit every now and then and a dumper on the boards. Like,
The bad Ristolainen number is the 30+ minutes of ice time.
Correct.
yeah, you reduce that because he's not a top 2 guy. He's just the best we have. That's all. I'll keep beating that. drum.
I did not mean to get this going.
No, it's good.
You did it.
We needed a Sabre segment here.
We did, because there's hockey news. Like, there's legitimately some hockey news that we need to talk about, and it's not the reverse retros, which are still great, and they're still the second best white jersey that they have this season.
That's a good point.
I mean, come on. They brought back the best
Yes.
hockey jersey of all time, and I'm not taking that back. Fight me.
They're pretty.
They're
Second
the
best,
best.
jersey, first most expensive.
It's just, you know what? I don't care. I mean, That's the thing.
I want the New Jerseys. I want both of them so bad, but they're just unreasonably priced.
The only
Even
thing
a
stopping me
blank
from
one.
wearing a different hockey jersey to this podcast every week is the fact that they are worth more than I am. So I don't.
I mean, I feel like that could be considered a shot, but they are very, 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 very expensive.
I feel like that could be a shot, but you're just not worth that much.
Even
That's
the,
true.
Wow.
even
I'm
the blank
kidding.
ones
Just
are
I had to take
super
the opposite
expensive.
route to you, Derek. I had to just take the opposite route.
Oh, man.
Isn't a blank white regular home jersey like $180?
179.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? How much do those things cost to make? I think.
Oh,
Well, considering that I've bought one on the internet from China before, I can give you a rough ballpark.
I'd say it's probably about.
We here at the 716 podcast, of course, always buy our jerseys legally.
Don't wear fake jerseys.
There's probably about $8.97 of actual
Or do.
material in
Right.
that fucking thing.
yeah,
Like,
$8 of material and $3 of labor because they didn't pay that person nearly enough to make it. Anyways,
Yeah,
now
man,
we're
$200
fighting.
licensing
Now we're
fees.
fighting
Not to get into a
sweatshops.
sweatshop labor argument here, but they cost a fraction of what they charge you.
Yes,
We at the
But they're
716
beautiful.
podcast buy our jerseys legally.
but they're beautiful, and if I had $300, I would have one.
There's a
I
lot.
I might buy one anyway,
Right,
honestly.
correct.
There's a lot of jerseys.
I
that
might
would
punch
pick
myself
up
in the
if I,
balls and
could
then go
afford
buy
it.
one.
Yep.
Not even teams I like. Just because they got good
Yeah,
jerseys.
no, they got some pretty stuff, and I already love what has been going on with those jerseys.
So I admit I was getting nervous. I was talking to Justin a little bit. I was getting nervous because some of the language surrounding the return to play was not all positive, right? You had these
Yeah, actually, that was
concerns,
very recent.
and there was actual quotes saying that there's a possibility that they won't play.
it was all.
It was like last week.
The only thing, Justin, this is not about, I understand the whole like blowhard aspect. The only thing that had me concerned is I do not trust Gary Bettman to make a good
Yeah.
decision.
Well, it's
Ever.
not even just Bettman, though. It's the owner speaking
Sure,
through Bettman.
but Bettman represents the owners. He's hired by the owners, and there might be a time when he needs to wag his finger at the owners and say, "No, knock it off."
Well,
and I don't
that
know if
he's
I trust
never
him.
gonna do.
You know,
Right?
So my biggest thing,
Like Adam Silver would do that. He has done that.
It seems silly, but the biggest tell to me that it was all just posturing and junk grabbing and cock comparing was like the fact that they released those jerseys. Because that was a first sign that they're going to go, because that jersey's coming out to make up for loss of revenue. It's 100%.
yeah.
That was the biggest tell. That was all just bullshit.
Oh,
if they
but
didn't
at the
release
same
those
time,
jerseys,
they did such a
it's
great
a little-
job, so it's working.
yeah. And it seems dumb, but in my opinion, I think it's a very telling sign that this is all just nonsense, and they're just trying to see what they can get out of this.
I mean, it was all just posturing for sure. And if you think about, I understand the loss of revenue from gate ticket sales, and they're hoping that they'll get some of it back, and maybe part of the season there'll be some fans there who no one fucking knows. But you'll be in a much worse spot if you don't play at all. And you don't get TV money or advertising money or jersey sales.
Which is why the MLB looked so stupid before their season started.
Yeah, that was a God. We could go on. That's maybe a discussion for. We can save that for maybe after the Bill season. We can kind of do a discussion on how different sports handle different things. I know
Well,
Steve
the-
has a lot of thoughts on baseball. I do too. And
And the band, oh my gosh, the band
The
that's on my
NLL.
mind. That wasn't what I was thinking though. The NBA, the players agreed to take an 18% pay cut due to lost revenue from the gate, and their agents were like, "You need to take this deal because the gate isn't 18% of what the teams make; it's
Right.
more than that." And the way they agreed to it, if I remember correctly, is they're going to take 18% of their salary from this year, but spread it out over the next 3 years. So you're not
Yeah,
taking an
sounds right.
18% pay cut this year; you're taking a 6%.
You're just deferring it.
6% pay cut.
You're just
In
punting
some
it.
ways, you're deferring. That's a good way to put it. That way, you're not losing 20% of your paycheck this year. And agents were telling the players, "Don't be stupid on this," because the reality is, owners could take 30%, and it would be reasonable because
Right.
that's what they're probably going to lose.
What a lot of
without
these owners are
ticket
betting
sales.
on, and I don't think it's unreasonable, is when it is safe to return to normal sports attendance activity, people are going to be banging down
Yes.
the fucking doors of these arenas to
Yeah,
go
they're going
back
to
and
pay
watch
what
their teams.
They're going to pay whatever is charged.
Yeah, secondary ticket market for the first season.
And the primary ticket market.
Primary
will
ticket
probably
market's going to be a freaking kill.
Yeah, they
I
could
mean,
charge.
so-
part of the reality of this is that you're going to see ticket prices just straight up go up. That every pro sports team is going to charge
Hey,
you
sports
more.
fans, you like going to games? Well, enjoy not having a wallet.
Yeah,
That's
the
your
reality of it.
official warning.
So the 2021 Tampa Bay Raptors.
Yes.
We the
jerseys-
South.
the
I
jerseys
just had
are
to say
sweet.
that.
Speaking of jerseys, those jerseys are sweet. They went to the old school Raptor dribbling with Tampa written in like the primal lettering. Like,
Yeah.
very good.
it's a good chance for Tampa to get another pro sports franchise.
Oh,
if that
God.
works out.
I mean, the Rays get a lot of attendance for how well they played.
Tampa almost went.
Rumor has it the Rays went to the World Series. And also,
they
rumor has
almost
it
doubled down.
The rumor also has it that when they made the playoffs a few years ago, there was like 3,000 fans in attendance. And I'm not
If
kidding.
the Rays had won the World Series, I don't know if the Bucks actually do anything. It would not be unreasonable for Tampa with the Raptors to go and do a sweep. The Raptors are good. The Eastern Conference is bad. The Bucks might win the Super Bowl, and the Raptors could contend. If the Rays had won the World Series, they could have gone 4-for-4, which is insane. Partially by taking a team from another city that they don't really have. But, if the Blue Jays had won a World Series, you're damn right I would have claimed that as a Buffalo championship. So,
What do you think about NFL teams? Some teams talk about having games outside so they could have fans.
Oh, the NHL.
NHL. As I said. It's funny because I don't think the Sabres are even one of them with them
Didn't hear the
owning a
Sabres,
Bills
no.
franchise because you can't have fans at
Well,
Bills games right now.
Nope.
The interesting thing about it for the Bills that a lot of the other teams don't have going for them is the Pagulas own both of those facilities.
Right.
What's what I'm saying? Even with that happening,
The Sabres haven't been in the conversation.
What you think? Weatherman's not changing that?
no, I just
Listen,
think
don't tell Kevin O'Neill he can't go to a Sabres game at the Bills Stadium, okay? He'll tweet at you.
He's
So
got
I'm saying
he's got a
it's
21-year-old daughter who's never seen a Bills playoff game. So
it sounds like his own fault.
first off, join the fucking club, buddy. I've never seen a Bills home playoff game in person.
I mean, again, the last time the
I'm
Bills
not gonna be
won
crying
in
about
prime
it.
time on Monday night, I was 8 before yesterday.
Yeah. So again,
I feel old because I was 17.
but again, buddy, stop. And that's my weekly Kevin O'Neill hate.
Yeah, I think we're averaging one per week at this point, which is a good amount.
Fucking why guy.
So what's your
Why,
thought, Justin?
guy?
Are they going to? You think that that the Sabres should be one of the teams that are?
No,
talking
I was
about?
saying it's interesting because they're the one team that owns the NFL Stadium,
Yeah.
and they probably won't be in that consideration because they currently can't go to a Bills game outside.
It's
That's what I
interesting,
was getting
too,
at.
because the NHL has already marketed the outdoor game as an exclusive premier event. Think about the Winter Classic or the Stadium Series. Like, you want to go to these. We're going to charge big tickets. It's big events. We have concerts here. We do like, if you have, I don't even know the number, but if they had enough to try to recoup some money, you had 24 of these throughout the shortened NHL season. And the next year, like, hey, go back to paying us $150 for good tickets to the Winter Classic. Like, why? I just did it twice last year for my local team that played 4 games on a football field.
I feel like too the amount of money it would cost to maintain an outdoor rink, and just to allow in the limited amount of fans and the limited amount of visible seats to a hockey game and football stadium, it doesn't even seem worth it.
Did you see one of the teams looking into playing outdoors was like Vegas or L.A.? It was
a weird
It was a
team.
warm weather team. And from what we learned with the Winter Classics, because Dallas had the one, right?
Yeah.
What we
LA
learned,
had one also.
what we learned is that they
Stadium Series.
apparently have the technology to keep ice cold,
Sure.
even at a 90-degree day. Now the ice might be shit, but they can do it. So it just was interesting to me.
I don't think the
of
NHL was going to
four-
give a flying fuck about what the ice condition
of
they
the
can pull this
4
off.
teams that they were talking about. It was like Boston, the Rangers, and then it was like Columbus, which isn't it, and then it was like the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm like, all right, well,
They could always do it in the Raiders Stadium and like
It's a dome.
keep
Yeah.
the roof closed, and
turn the AC way
if it's
down.
got to be outside, they can open the stadium, crack the
They
the
can just
roof.
roll.
we opened
they
the
can
front
roll
door to the
rink out.
stadium.
Remember, we talked about this. They could just roll the rink right out, like they do at the field.
It's true. You roll out to the desert.
Las Vegas looking into making more money, more at 11.
How would the Rangers have a neutral site game? Aren't they? I mean, that's what the whole thing with the Winter Classic when
Well,
they played
no,
against the
we would just
Sabres.
call it a Sabres home game, not a neutral site game.
So I'll say there's no worse place about hockey game than a football or baseball stadium. There's so much dead space.
Baseball stadiums are weird because you're literally putting a square peg into a round hole. Like, I didn't feel like the Bills was that bad because at least it's a rectangular shaped rink and a rectangular shaped field.
So
when
much
you go
dead
to a
space,
baseball
though.
game,
the Bills
it's
field's the
weird.
worst too for hockey. There's so much dead space, and then the seats just go back. The Bills stadiums, like modern stadiums, the seats go up.
Yeah,
The Bills stadium they go back.
We were like 38 rows up on the non-tunnel side, and all the goals were scored in front of us. And if you remember, because of the wind, both teams decided to shoot on the same net. So everyone shot on us, but we couldn't see below the goaltender's stomach because we weren't high enough.
I went to, this is not even where they don't talk about, just about seating. I went to a Bills Bengals game years ago when Chan Gailey was a coach in Cincinnati. I got a ticket from the box office for $19, and I sat 6 rows from the last row of the stadium. Some of the best seats I've ever had at a football game. $19.
We went to a Sabres game in Florida against the Panthers. We paid $60 for a pair of tickets in the 100 level, 14 rows from the
Yeah,
ice.
for $60 in Florida, they like give you a jersey and like
Yeah.
a hand job for sitting there. At a
I wasn't going to
Panthers
mention that part because I was on my honeymoon, Jeff, but now that you
fair.
just blew it
Yeah.
up.
My bad.
Good grief.
My bad, dude.
Good thing my wife doesn't listen to this.
I didn't say who it was from, Steve. You're on your honeymoon. It could be from anyone.
She should listen. She makes a lot of appearances.
We
wife said-
dissect at least one of her takes every week. I sat in the last row at Jerry World, and that stadium, with it being a modern stadium, I could see everything. It was WrestleMania, it wasn't a football game, but I could still see everything happening in center field.
I want to go see that place.
It's ridiculous because it's in Dallas. It's in Arlington. But it's in Buffalo the way that like Orchard Park is in Buffalo. Yeah. It's like half an hour away from downtown. It's the only other thing around there is the Ranger Stadium, and everything else is so flat you can see it looming in the distance.
Yeah. I lived in Indianapolis for a while, and I never got to go inside Lucas Oil Stadium, but just outside of it, and even flying over, it's like that place.
I stayed in the
Insane.
hotel right across the street, that one that's all glass. I had a conference there, and it was the nicest hotel I ever stayed in. The rates were $1,400 a night, but I was there for a conference, so I paid $350 for the whole weekend.
Nice.
I paid like $350 for 3 nights because it was part of the conference.
Nice.
But my wife and my buddy and I were there, and that one, the hotel was gorgeous, but 2, I could look down right into the Indianapolis Indian Stadium and see the bleacher seats because that's all they had, and then Lucas Oil was right down the street, and it looked really cool. But
I've got to say, standing near the Superdome is unreal.
Oh.
Like near the
New
Superdome,
Orleans?
not even in it. Just like because I was 19, but me and my friend, we were down in New Orleans with my family, and we went to go check out a New Orleans Pelicans game. That's right. And it was back when they were the New Orleans Hornets.
Yep.
So we were going down there to the Smoothie King Arena, and and we're walking by the Superdome, and it's just one of those unreal places. It really is. And that was just...
I haven't been into a lot of stadiums, NFL stadiums, but my favorite that is the Steelers.
I went to Heinz Field for a soccer game.
You went to catch up?
Yeah, and even just like it's so inviting too. Like you go to the Ralph and you feel like it's Area 51. You feel like you can't really get near the building. It seems like, but like the Steelers, there's like come in. Like it's like wide open. Like there's a big gate you can walk right up to and look down on the field.
That's my hope for if the Bills do build a new stadium or renovate. Like we've talked about this on the show before at Gillette. You can go have lunch there.
Yeah.
It's like 716 outside of the arena. Like connected to the stadium is a shopping strip and a restaurant. And I've never been.
That's how Verizon Center is.
Right.
in
That
DC
you can go.
too.
You can go on your lunch break to the stadium. Go into the like Pettibones. Right. Like in the stadium, not outside, not connected to. Built into the stadium are restaurants, bars, shopping, and I hope the Bills will do that.
And Pittsburgh does it so right too with how everything is like it's right by the river. It feels like it's part of the
You can walk. We crossed the Fort Duquesne Bridge by foot, which is my favorite bridge in Pittsburgh because you walk right between Heinz Field and PNC Park, which is awesome.
So I think the only other NFL stadiums I've been in other than the Ralph are Jerry World, and I've been to the new Niners Stadium. I've been to New Meadowlands too. But Jerry World is on a whole other level than those. I drove by the new Viking Stadium in Minneapolis, which is just an obscene look. It looks like a Viking ship driving down the highway in Minneapolis. It looks incredible. I want to go there.
I'm driven by Raven Stadium, which is nice.
I've driven
I don't know.
I've
It's
driven
cool.
by the link. I got a battery thrown
It's
in
dumb.
me.
It feels dumb. It feels dumb when you mention just going by a stadium. How cool it is. I think we don't get it in Buffalo because half our field is underground.
Yeah.
So you don't. These stadiums are like modern marvels, and like it's crazy to see. But then
The Bills are in a sinkhole.
you go to the Ralph and you see like the last few rows.
And not even
how progressive
not even
field is,
great in a
too.
sinkhole either.
No, yeah.
These Progressive has a really cool luxury boxes that jut out. Like
Oh,
it
it's
looks
awesome.
cool when you drive by. I've been to the Jake for
What is
games.
this like? You walk into the main entrance of the Jake behind home plate, and it's actually the 200s
Yes.
because the hundreds go down.
Yes.
And
And the outfield is beautiful. The huge
it's-
flag and the scoreboard and
I mean, I'm biased because that's my team.
Oh,
But that it's a
they're
beautiful
not my
place
team,
to
and
watch
it's
a baseball
beautiful,
game.
Beautiful park.
Baseball stadiums are also objectively cooler than other stadiums because they're allowed to have geometric differences that make
Yes.
them unique.
Yes.
Whereas, a
Every-
football stadium might look different, but the field itself is okay.
Yes.
It's 100, but you know exactly
Copy
what.
and paste.
Yeah. But a baseball stadium, because you're allowed to have huge green walls and whatever random thing
You have
decide
Oakland
wanna
with
do.
more foul territory than outfields. Like
Yeah, the old hill in Houston back when they still had that, and just the craziness that makes it so different.
Death Valley.
The new Twins field.
Target.
Yeah,
I love the
standing
Ralph.
over. Have you ever been there or no?
I've never been to Minnesota.
So you know how that right field they have that overhang over in the field, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, standing on that and looking down on the field is very trippy because I went out to Minnesota a few years ago with my wife and her family, and we all went to a Twins game. And after the game, we would just during the game and after the game, we just walked around the stadium, and it's like this is something you don't see in other sports. You're literally hanging you're over the field, but it's such a great view.
I feel like I love Bill's Stadium. I love the stadium. I love the atmosphere it provides because it is kind of rowdy college atmosphere. I love the ability that it gives tailgating because you don't get that many places in the league anymore. But I still want that giant cathedral type stadium downtown, this giant Hawken building. I mean, I feel like it's also a psychological thing too for teams coming in. Like it really legitimizes your team more. Like you're coming into a downtown city with this giant stadium as opposed to you're cruising through some weird throughway.
ECC South Campus.
Through fields, ECC South Campus, empty parking lots, department stores. Then you see half of a stadium out of the ground. Kind of like, well, here we're playing this high school stadium.
Is it weird that I have the
Foxborough.
exact opposite opinion of you on that? Is like I think the older stadiums, like when I think about the most imposing places to play in pro sports, with very limited exception, I think of Lambeau Field, Arrowhead Field, like the old Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field, Fenway Park. These buildings that have been around longer than anyone watching the game has been alive. I think there's something to be said for the mystique of a building like that.
The Bills don't have that though.
Yeah,
Well,
the Bills don't
don't
have
have
the
that.
successful history.
Right.
Our successful history sucks.
I guess the point, like, I don't think, is there a single, like, actually successful NFL team that has that brand new, beautiful, modern NFL stadium that
The
people are
Cowboys,
terrified
America's
to play in?
team.
And the Cowboys who are currently getting their shit pumped by another team here.
I don't
you
want
took my word.
I don't want a
I like it.
Cowboys stadium. I want
That was
like
my
just
word,
like
bro. That is my
M&T
word from
Bank
episodes
Stadium. I
ago.
think just like a nice, real football stadium. I'm not saying some lavish $4
Well, that's what it's
billion
going to be. If you're going to build a new stadium, it's going to be one
It's
of
gonna
these
be the Black Hole
ridiculous,
or SoFi
I don't-
or-
I don't need
generated,
it to
made
be-
of glass, shaped like a
No.
buffalo.
I don't need it to be Super
There's tablets
Bowl.
on the back of the seats some reason.
You walk in and it's butthole.
I don't need the Super Bowl requirements because I don't need it. I don't want the dome. I think what the Steelers have is perfect. It'd be great for the Bills.
But that's an old stadium too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an old stadium.
Yeah, I'm not dogging it. I'm like not the capacity.
Yeah.
The openness.
Wait,
of
what
it.
are we defining as old here? For this, if you're considering,
I would say
Steelers
not
stadium
built
old.
since 2000.
You know what I want most out of a Bill Stadium? As someone who had bought season tickets for about 6 years, it's just not a long time in the scope of some people who have, but a lot of time of winter games. I just want somewhere I can retreat to warmth. There's
What happened?
Can't
There
have
is
that if
nowhere
you
to
pay a
go.
lot for tickets.
There's nowhere to escape. Like you try to go to the bathroom, it's like everywhere is ice cold. Like I just want like a
What, you don't hug the guy next to you
Like
and then
clo-
get punched?
just want closed hallways. Is like
I went
What
to
I'm
a-
hearing is one, you need to stop being a little bitch.
I'm not talking.
Or two, you need to wear appropriate clothing.
I'm not
Yeah,
talking.
come on,
like
wear
a-
more clothing. That's
like
all you got to
like
do.
A 70-degree controlled climate hallway. I'm talking like at least like 49 degrees.
just get your season tickets in the Jim Kelly Club. I have a buddy who moved, so he no longer has his seasons, but his dad was his dad
wear
is
some
a
damn
doctor.
snow pants.
So
You'll
we had
feel a lot
very,
better.
very nice season tickets. Went to a game in November in the Jim Kelly Club. It was 30 degrees outside.
You're
I was
sweating.
too warm to wear
Yeah,
a jacket.
Yeah.
Or you could just pee in your pit. No, don't do that.
I've
Because
done
you'll
that.
only be warm
Well,
for
to
a
be-
minute and then it gets
Yeah,
cold.
and it's only your lower half. So you have to like pee on your upper half to keep it evenly distributed.
We digressed so quickly. Wow. And that's my fault. I'm not blaming
My-
you, Jeff. That's my fault.
My microphone cord will
And
not
Justin
allow
was
me to
just
get
about
away
to,
from these
Justin
two.
was just about to say that he's done that.
I've done it.
I don't no judgment.
That was like my main things. I prioritize the instant warmth over the long term.
Yeah.
Like
It's like Dumb and Dumber.
Short-term
I gotta pee.
satisfaction.
Just go, man. Oh, that's
You ever see-
warm.
you ever
and
see
then
the-
they go to get off the scooter and he's frozen to him because of his
you
piss.
ever see the 5-year engagement?
No.
No. Dang, a good reference.
Oh my
Never mind.
goodness.
I like my
Wasted
Dumb and
good
Dumber
reference.
reference, and he pisses on him on
Yeah,
the scooter.
I
yeah.
like that reference.
We're talking about frozen piss.
We started out talking about how much we like other stadiums.
We're talking about
now
we
we talk
started
about
talking about
peeing on
Bill's Super
ourselves for
Bowl, and
one.
now we're talking about pissing ourselves.
You never know what you're going to get here on the 716 Sports Podcast.
Well, we had to make up for not doing a show last week, so we had to add twice as much
bullshit.
rambling at the end
Yeah.
of the show.
Yeah,
I think that's a good sign that we should probably call it a night.
I mean, yeah, probably. It's probably a good idea. I mean, we talked about pissing on ourselves. I feel like
it's
I feel like there's A, no recovering from that, or B, there's no doing better than
Yeah,
that.
there's no doing better. That's why.
Whatever way you look at it, that's got to be the final note. Any other
We had a
final
JFK joke
notes?
3 minutes into the show.
I called
Come
Jeff
on.
worthless. We've covered the gamut today.
Listen, folks, we know that
Christ.
you are stuck at home with nothing to do, so we made an extra long podcast even more ridiculous. So thank you if you're still here, God bless you, and thank you
And
again.
we're sorry.
For,
Well,
If
listening.
you're still here, go get the evaluation you need.
It says more about you than it does about us at this point. Truly,
I don't recommend peeing. Stay warm.
Thank you, Justin. Real quick before we end the show, though, Justin's been like messing around with a comb sometimes during the show, and he combed his hair straight down on his forehead there. And then the first thing I thought was, what would the name of his emo album be?
it's pulling up like a Davey Havoc from AFI.
I used to have longer hair and I straightened it. At one
Oh my
point,
God!
and
Yeah,
it
this
was,
is This is
I
just-
too remember the
Yeah.
2000s.
this is just straight up. Justin is going with an emo haircut here, and I'm all for it.
Justin made seltzer shoot out my nose.
Yeah, you give
Did that
the-
keep you
give the
warm?
man a seltzer, and then you make him laugh and shoot. It was a long. Justin playing the real long.
Hey, at least you
game
didn't
here.
shoot it out of another hole,
5-year
okay?
engagement. I don't even know what the reference is, but
well, I can't make it. That'd be fun.
no, it was the joke about you giving me the seltzer 45 minutes ago and me shooting it out my nose now.
Well,
Again, you didn't shoot it out of something else, so
That might have kept me warm.
and on that note, folks, go ahead and interact with us if you want to. You can interact with us. We promise we're cleaner than we made it sound on Twitter at 716 Sport Podcast, Facebook 716 Sports Podcast, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, basically all your major podcast platforms. We'll be back probably next Monday. Who the hell knows what's going on these days? We'll be back as soon as we can safely do another show for you all. Let's not promise anything, but we like to make sure that everyone is doing good and do shows in a nice, safe manner for you.
Super Bowl.
Go Bills.